Hey guys, it's Will. Hopefully, you're having an amazing Thursday. Let's get into the market a little bit here, and I'm going to share with you guys some of the top AI companies that we want to look at for 2025. I'm really excited to go over these things because I feel like there's so many people that are looking at the markets today and they're saying, I want to build more freedom. I want to invest in things that are going to prosper as companies and are going to build the portfolio that I want to build. And I don't want it to be S&P 500. I want it to be a portion, and the S&P 500 is beautiful. It's great for that very passive, slow but steady growth that builds over time, and you will have millions of dollars when you're older in 20 years, 50 years, or whatever, if you consistently invest in it. But one of the keys when investing is I want you to imagine SPY here, and we have SPY, and I almost want to bring in a portion of this new system that I'm building, and I want to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to record my entire screen here, and this is about some of the tools in the portfolio building that has allowed me to build a very profitable portfolio. And it kind of comes down to some things. This is kind of an overview, okay, that I love to break down, and it stems from some of our students and myself. Let me kind of break it down here. If you put $5,000 in the S&P 500 here, and you're going to have profitable AI stocks that you add to your watch list, okay? And that's the next part. Okay. Sorry, I'm jumping right into this presentation that's going to be a part of our AI stock trading system. And you can actually get early access. It's not even launched yet, but if you want to be part of early access, click the first link in the description. It's free to join. I've been working tirelessly for the past 2 to 3 months to put together this system that's going to change the way that you invest in the stock market, that you invest and grow. And so some people, they do $5,000, let's say, or 5 million or whatever in the S&P 500, okay? And they'll make about $400 on that investment over the course of the year, okay? And that's just kind of the average. I guess you could be more if it's this past year. It's a little bit like 12%, but it varies, over time about 8 to 10%. Or this is a picture of NVIDIA, one of the better investments here. You can see a screenshot from our Robinhood app here. AI and tech, over the past 5 years was about 1,876%, okay? Or about 1,800%. So that investment, okay, yields really what's $20,000 to $30,000 from the same investment, okay? And so the trader of this AI stock found our analysis of the company, took up the opportunity to enter a position, and they watched as billions of dollars flocked into the stock and grew their position before cashing out. So in other words, they found a company that institutions were just starting to adopt, that was just starting to grow, and they were able to turn that into more. And even if you make, say, 58% on the S&P 500 over, a couple years, let's say in this case, it's about 6 years. If you invest in AI and tech, you can see this difference that there was actually 216%. It's about $1,200 a month. Okay? So why do I share that, and why am I breaking that down? Well, it kind of comes down to these two things, right? Some markets are large indexes that have very slow moves and are dragged down with diminishing returns. And they will yield a return, but they are not going to be like these markets. See, other markets, the profits are higher. There are a lot of new technologies, and market cap saturation, the money that's already invested in the stock, is much less. Okay? So here's what I want to share with you, okay? Is that there are this outlook, okay? And I want to explain this to you. You got two circles here. The circle on the left is an index fund, kind of similar to the S&P. And out of that S&P, about 10% or 30%, you can see that kind of yellow arrow to the right of that here on the left circle, is going to carry that fund. It's going to really make up most of what are the gains in that fund. Okay, and then on the right side, you have AI and tech. And in AI and tech, there's some companies that deal with a lot of competition. There might be some pumping, some AI pumps, causes some unprofitability. So 90% of them aren't going to have the same success. Whereas if you look over here on the right, or the left side of that right circle, there is about 10% or so that are profitable. And even some that are just making their way into the S&P 500 or are already in the S&P 500, that if you invested just in that ellipse of the more profitable AI and tech companies, that's kind of the honey hole. That's what I call the honey hole. It's where there's lots of profits and you're going to grow there's growing AI stocks there. And so the reason I share that with you is because a lot of people say, I'm not doing enough to grow fast. I'm not doing enough to get things. And it's not the reality, because every single investor has felt that way. Every single person has felt like they wish their money grew faster. Like, haven't you ever felt that way? Of course. And then sometimes there will be moments where you're like, wow, I maybe need to tone this down. I'm growing so much. Do I need to sell? And so that's a good feeling to have. But when you focus on this honey hole of investments, these are the companies that are going to yield the highest returns over time. And so I want to go into those companies today. I want to go over some of what I'm breaking down here. We got some AI and language model companies. I'm going to add in here. We got Palantir as well. And so some of the stocks I'm going to be focusing on for 2025, okay, that are going to be the most growth-oriented stocks that I've been able to find, okay. The first one would be Palantir. Palantir has been on a breakout, and we identify every time it's trending up, and now it's trending up. If it stays bullish, it's going to bounce right here, and it's going to continue up even higher to $84 or $100. And we've done that. You can see I leave my analysis from the past, because as we go through, we get to see, what the future or the past looked like when we were identifying it. We identified a breakout. Here we said, here's a trend. If it breaks above, it's going to start a new trend here, which it has started. And so now Palantir is a company that has partnered with companies like Anthropic that are private, that are revolutionizing the way that AI is impacting the world. You have them partnering with AWS. So if you've ever gotten have you ever gotten a free thing online, and it is like some document, it's like a PDF, and you look up in that, the URL, and you see that it says AWS or something, or maybe it says S3 buckets or something like that, right? That's because Amazon processes and holds so much information for big companies that hold all the data for those big companies, right? So for Netflix puts all their data, for example, on AWS. You have other companies, Robinhood even uses AWS. So you have these companies that use AWS. And Palantir recently is helping them optimize. Palantir has a lot of contracts with the governments, and they're also most likely going to be one of the players for big institutions to be able to process a lot of data. Okay? Another example on Palantir. If you look at hospitals, Boston Hospital, they get all this data. They have all these people in beds at the hospital. And then they have all these employees. And the people in the beds have very specific problems and symptoms and diseases and different things they're dealing with. And then also, there are specialists that know exactly how to solve those problems or are specialists in solving those things. And how hard is it for one person to go say, okay, tomorrow is Friday. We're going to make sure that this person is matched up with these people. This specialist goes with this group of people. It's really hard to do. But when you have AI processing, hey, here's all the beds, all of the people that are at the hospital and what their symptoms are. And then also here's all the specialists, okay? Now match the specialists with the people in the hospital, the patients, and make it automatic so that everybody gets matched perfectly and everybody gets the best care that they need, and the specialists work with people that they will understand. That's something that Palantir is allowing Boston Hospital to do. So there's a lot of examples. This is an AI company, a software for businesses, and they also work with the US government that is really powerful, and I see a lot of growth in the company in 2025. So they're one of my top AI picks. Okay, here's another one, and also they're like doubling their revenue. They're doing great with revenue. Another one that is really starting to catch my eye, that is not number one by any means, is Big Bear AI. And Big Bear AI, they're a smaller company. They even have some debts. Their financials actually don't look perfect. They're growing in the amount of money they're making, but it's slow. But they just signed a deal with Army, okay? And they also have deals with Heathrow Airport, so I think that's New York. And then they have Denver International Airport. So if you've ever been to the airport recently in the United States, you might have gone through and they scan your face and they tell you, you're good to go. And and the AI basically processes all these people and moves them through the verification process. And AI can identify risks. It can identify if people are good to go. And it holds all that data and processes it through using AI. So Big Bear AI is a company that makes that happen. Okay, they're $2 or $3 a share. They're under $1 billion market cap, and they could absolutely grow here in 2025. They recently pulled back from $4 to $3. Okay, and we could see that happen. So that's another company. This is a really fun one that I've been covering for a while, which is AMD stock. AMD is at this low, and I actually literally purchased today over on my Schwab account, which is funny. But AI and data centers are a focus of this company. And if you look at AMD, historically they've grown quite a bit, but recently they've been at this support. And they've gotten some really cool things, like they beat their earnings. So they're demonstrating that they're growing. They've also signed a partnership with Starlink. So they're going to be putting their chips into the Starlink satellites that provide internet for a lot of the world. And so they recently partnered with Starlink. So all the rockets that are going up and sending into space, their tech is inside of those satellites. The hardware that is supposedly good enough and great enough to support those satellites and updates in the future, that hardware to support those satellites for, years and years into the future while they're in space. How cool is that? And so they're at a pretty low price of $129 or $130. And they've been up to $226 at one point. They've sold off a lot and they beat their earnings. And I see this recently. I've seen this kind of uptrend happening right here. And if you just kind of look at AMD from that perspective, you could see There's upside right here. If they reach, all-time highs, it's a much bigger upside, but let's just say that's kind of the trend there. That is not perfectly mapped out, but let's just say, over the next few months or year, they push back up to previous levels. That's a 63% increase. So I'm going to be, and I didn't buy AMD stock, to be clear. I actually bought AMDL. So AMDL is AMD stock, but it goes up or down 2% every time AMD goes up or down 1%. So in other words, that 66% is going to be more like 130% increase on AMDL. So I share this with you because there's all these smaller companies that have tremendous growth potential that I don't want to say is like, hey, this is 100% going to happen. I can't tell you that, but I can tell you that this is one of the best times to be looking at AI and tech stocks. So, of course, we also have Tesla stock. It's been on an absolute tear today. It's been on a tear since really they crushed their earnings back here right before November. And then after the elections, they've surged what is $427 a share. There's been projections that if they capitalize with XAI, they have Starlink in their favor, but they put out the Optimus robots, and with less regulation that they can do their robo-taxis, that they could see their stock go from magnificent 6, I believe they're at, around $1 trillion, to surpassing NVIDIA or higher, which by the time they surpass could be around $5 trillion or more. And you have Elon, he says, hey, I think we're going to reach $30 trillion actually. So you think about those things and hey, that's an opportunity that's a large cap company that could be growing in the next year or two, over $1,000 a share. And so when we look at those things, you could also say, hey, if I'm going to play that TSLL, I remember investing, I've been trading it for many years. I had some great trades back here in July, actually, were some of my best. June and July, right here, where it went up 70%. But hey, it's one that goes up 2% every time Tesla goes up 1%. Okay, so that's a company that is interesting. The last one, or there's two other ones actually. This one, SoundHound AI. It's been going up tremendously. Will it pull back? It's very possible it will continue to pull back. Right now, it looks like the bulls are in control. But this is a company that is going to be on the forefront of AI sound and the generative voice that you hear from AI. And that's a huge part of the development of AI. And they're at $13 a share. So it's quite possible this could be a company that is a more like $30 to $50 a share by the end of next year. There's some other ones that I was looking at that really caught my attention. This one, GFAI, this is Guard Force, I believe, is another one that's an AI company, GFAI. It's $1 a share. It's been down a lot. Gosh, it looks so volatile. I almost don't want to cover it, but wow. It's been up to $20 a share. It's at $1 a share. Do your own due diligence, check them out. One that was quite interesting was Riskified. They work with, for example, Latin America Airlines. Their company is processing a massive amount of data, okay, and they're a company that I could see grow potentially to what would be $6 or $7 a share. And I personally have been buying and selling this company, but I see this as an AI company that has a lot of potential, as well as they work with huge organizations and people that are struggling with their excess amounts of data that they need to process and run through AI to optimize their businesses. So these are the things that we're looking at here for 2025. I'm going to do an official breakdown of my top 5 or top 10 before the end of the year. But if you guys are looking at AI and into 2025, again, check out that first link down below. I'm launching the AI stock trading system this coming week here in December. So I'm very excited, And if you want to get beta early access, I've been working really tirelessly to put this together. It's a lot of different moving pieces that investors find to be extremely useful in identifying profitable companies. And there's a lot of different things you can look at, from risk management to, you could look at the indicators to analysis of the news. You could look at how to find undervalued stocks that have the profit potential, which markets do you want to be looking at, and all those things. But ultimately, it's a lot of different moving pieces, and it can be pretty overwhelming. And so I'm putting together this AI stock trading system that is going to simplify that and really bring it down into just what I'm calling the AI stock trading system. So I'm really excited for it. And if you guys want to get early access, it is never a better time right now to get it early access, the beta free, down below, the link in the description of this video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all. For those of you guys that enjoyed, hit that like button. Do consider subscribing, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.